Well, meantime, stateside, a massive mea culpa from the CEO of Netflix. After watching his stock price subscription base start to drop, Reed Hastings sent a letter out to Netflix members apologizing for his, quote, arrogance. Hastings also gave more details, and the company split into two, saying the Netflix brand will be solely focused on a streaming and a brand new Quickster, which is what the DVD by mail service is going to become known as. This has got Herb all kinds of bothered.
Look, he talks about arrogance.
Which part are you bothered by? The email, the split?
I don't
Which
even
one?
know. There's so much going on here because here's the issue. On one level, you have the arrogance, which he says he was slid into arrogance as a result of his past successes. Very interesting. But when he talks arrogance, guess what? This was the worst possible disclosure I have ever seen, perhaps by any company. They slipped this disclosure in a blog overnight, on Sunday. There's no 8K. We're talking about changing the company's structure, creating a new structure that includes a wholly owned subsidiary. Also, missed in all of this. Last week, stories started to surface about the company's battle with the SEC over whether or not it should include churn. I do have to say, this is this SEC thing. I know we got to go. Very important because the company says churn does not matter.
We don't have to go because there's a lot to discuss surrounding all this. You touched on some big issues. All right, let us bring in now our guest, if we certainly can. That is Technobuffalo's Jon Rettinger. Jon, you just heard Herb's rant on Netflix, sort of hitting everything from disclosures to strategies. You got a beef with Netflix?
You know, the gut shot reaction is certainly to agree with Herb, and I think a lot of folks, at least right now, do. However, in hindsight, I think what Reed Hastings did is actually going to be very prudent for the business. The writing is all over the digital wall. Physical media is dying, and Netflix's name is squarely implanted in association with that physical media. If that dies and subscription base continues to fall, so does the Netflix brand equity. They are severing ties right now while they have a chance to spin off a completely separate Quickster business, which is also going to include video games, while also continuing to grow that Netflix brand while focusing solely on digital.
So, bottom line here, Netflix as it might remain, right? Forget Quickster, just streaming. Is it going to be a better company? I mean, isn't that the goal of doing something like this, to get stronger? Is it going to work?
Long term, this is going to be a great business decision for Netflix. The timing, though, as Herb mentioned, is atrocious. They're in the middle of huge contract negotiations with major studios to get content. So why they would choose to do it at a nighttime on a blog is completely mind-boggling.
You know, because it's a smoke and mirrors type of thing. It doesn't change anything right now. All it is it creates the impression something's going to happen. Maybe they will ultimately spin off the DVD business and try to recreate what they started with Netflix. I suspect that's where they're going. But who knows?
Yeah, you know, I would assume so. Essentially, what Netflix is doing is they're holding up their piece of business and they're cutting off the fat, or what they think is going to be the fat in the next few years.
So, Herb, I mean, what's your final take on this? Because I'm kind of coming away thinking
my take is
John's saying it's a great company. I mean, you're bashing management.
No, look, they did what they had to do, I suspect, to get rid of the bad stuff, allegedly, the bad stuff. But you know what? The DVDs are still an important part. Look, they still have the fixed cost, no matter what they do. There's still the old legacy Netflix as part of this entire company.
I'll tell you what, Netflix and Jon, and we don't have time to get into it. Jon Rettinger, thank you very much for joining us. We'll get you back soon.
And by the way, he's confirming what the skeptics said about the company all along.
They got to watch the streaming costs, broadband, whatever. There's big variables still out there for Netflix,
still,
right?
absolutely.
And streaming is still spotty. All right, Herb, great to have you down here, by the way.
It's great to be here.
All right, we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching Street Signs. The closing bell with Scott Wapner is coming up next. Have a great day.